It's Riley.
It's Sloan.
It's Briar. Hang on to your broomsticks. It's about to get eerie.
Today's episode could contain themes and elements uncomfortable to some listeners. Please check the episode description and remember to always take care of yourself.
So, when I was searching for true crime stories for an episode, this one popped up and it's called The Shark Arm Murders / The Shark Arm Case.
Right up your alley with the shark.
Immediately, I was just like, that sounds interesting. That's going to be my episode. But anyway, it happened in 1935 in Sydney, Australia. And I will admit, this is a doozy, a weird story, and also just has a bunch of plot holes, as I will say, and you will understand why.
What, because you said 1935?
Yeah.
Okay.
Seems about right.
But there's this man, and I don't know, his name is Charles Hobson, but I've also seen Bert Hobson when I was doing research, so I don't know if that was his nickname or if it was just a mess up in the names. But anyway, he was the owner of the Coogee Aquarium in Australia, and he noticed that his business started to drop really bad, because one, that's during Depression times, is 1935, and also there was demolition of the Coogee Pier, which is next to the beach, and it was a very big tourist area, and it started just losing money. So he was trying to think of a way to get people to start coming to his aquarium, and he actually got really lucky in a spur of events. Him and his son were fishing, and they caught a 13-foot tiger shark that weighed almost a ton.
Oh, Lord. That's a big old shark.
Yeah. So, in his mind, Pops, this is the perfect thing.
Yeah, he was like, cha-ching!
Oh, exactly. That's basically it. So, he catches it and brings it into his aquarium. And it apparently was a good attraction. It was working for a little bit until Anzac Day happened. Which Anzac Day is a National Day of Remembrance in Australia and New Zealand that remembers the people who served and died in wars, conflicts, and peacekeeping operations.
Before we go on with that, so it's just completely okay for them to snatch a shark out of the ocean?
I guess
put
so.
It into the aquarium?
In 1935, probably.
I mean, how'd he... Okay, even more questions. 1935, how'd they get it to his aquarium?
That's what I'm meaning by plot holes. There's some bigger ones you're about to hear, and it's gonna make you ask questions, and that's just...
Because I'm like, how'd they keep it alive on the boat? When, I'm like, or did they just put it on a leash in the water?
Drive it up to the beach and then just...
Yeah, and I'm like, how'd they have a tank ready? Or were they like, screw those other fish. The shark's more important.
I guess so. I have no idea. Because also during that time, they probably didn't know which sharks could survive in aquariums. I know at some places, they still tried to get a great white into an aquarium, and it's not possible.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm just very curious how they managed that.
Yeah. But anyway, on Anzac Day, which they were booming with business, because it's that, not a holiday, but Day of Remembrance, and the shark started acting really weird, started bumping into the walls of its enclosure, and then started convulsing violently, and after a couple minutes of convulsing, it vomited up a rat, a bird, and then a human arm.
Okay. So people were just like chilling, just like, oh, look, a shark.
And then all of a sudden just starts. There were some other places that I read, like, I think it may have vomited up more stuff, but that was the common one I was seeing was a rat and then a bird and then the human arm.
Listen, I think that to me, my red flags are, it was a rat. The mob fed the man to the shark. Because they fed a rat first. And then they're like, you're next, buddy.
We will get into that.
Sorry.
Well, anyway, people started to freak out, obviously, because they just saw a shark vomit up a human arm. But people were also thinking that it was a shark attack and that the shark had killed and ate someone because there was apparently a string of shark attacks that year and previous year. So that was where people's minds automatically went to. So Hobson called the police, who got the arm out of the tank, and then the shark ended up being killed, and they autopsied it to make sure that there wasn't any other.
That sucks. That poor shark was just out there living his life.
Yeah.
He got caught in a bad time. But police fished out the arm, and it had a tattoo of 2 boxers sparring on it.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
What?
That I feel like an idiot because I was thinking the dog. Honest to God, I was like 2 boxers. I was like, that's a goofy tattoo. But
no, 2 boxers.
anyway, human boxers. I can't.
And had a rope attached at the wrist. And also after they had a coroner look at it, they found out that the arm had no teeth marks from the shark and had been cleanly cut.
Oh, okay.
So, pieces.
Mm-hmm.
It was in a chub bucket. What's with the rope?
I don't know. I legit have no idea. That's just when they found the arm, it had a rope attached at the wrist.
Interesting.
And they found that it was cleanly cut.
Huh.
So it wasn't a shark attack.
Yeah.
And they said that they did fingerprints and was able to find the victim. Also, the tattoo brought a man named Edwin Smith forward when he saw it, and he said, "That's my brother James Smith, or Jimmy is what he went by." Because when he saw the tattoo, he's like, that's my brother's tattoo. So, going into that, they found out who the victim was, and then looked into it, and James Smith, he was 45 years old, and he was an English-born resident of Gladysville, Australia, or Gladsville, I'm not sure. He was apparently a really promising boxer at the time, but then his career failed. One site I looked at said he was a construction worker, but then all the other stories I read from said that he ran a billiards saloon.
Oh, okay. So
But
this is not helping with my previous assumption.
Yeah,
No.
Of why
No.
why there was an arm in a shark.
Mm-hmm.
And a rat.
Oh, a pool shark? Oh. And a rat. You're a rat. He was a pool shark who was a rat.
But also at the time, he could have been a construction worker and worked at the saloon. Mm-hmm. He also worked for a man named Reginald Holmes, who was a rich boat builder and had a successful boat business. His father and grandfather had also been successful in the boat business, and he was married and had 2 children. But he also was a drug lord. He used his boat business to smuggle in cocaine and do other illegal activities.
Like chop people up and feed them to sharks?
I don't know. You will just have to wait and see. But the other illegal activity was a lot of like forgery and insurance scams.
Okay.
Oh, well. You gotta have money. Extra money.
Yeah. You're already a successful businessman, but make some more. Just need some more.
You could be rich and successful selling boats, but how about sell little drugs? That'll be fine.
Yeah. But apparently Smith was one of his runners that did some of the illegal activity for him. Like, he would run one of his speedboats to bring the drugs in or bring drugs out. So he's one of his workers.
Yeah.
There was also a man, his name is Patrick Brady. He was an ex-serviceman who had been convicted of forgery. But apparently he had worked with Reginald Holmes as well. And some things I was getting was that they all 3 worked together, and then other stuff made it just seem like he worked with Holmes, and then other stuff was making it seem like he worked with Smith. So I'm not sure what the deal was with all three of them, but they were together.
A bunch of shady characters.
Yes. But Smith was last seen drinking and playing cards at the Cecil Hotel in Cronulla on April 7th with Patrick Brady.
There's a lot of names that are like big names that keep coming up, even though they're not related. But like Holmes, H.H. Holmes.
That's exactly what I thought when I was looking at.
I'm like,
when it said the Cecil Hotel,
Yeah.
I Google it and it's a different one than the one
yeah.
you think of. But I saw that and I was like, huh?
It's just interesting how it's like, because I know you said it was in Australia, so then I knew it wasn't the same one, but I was like, what are the odds that all these other famous names
Yeah.
in this random story that has so many plot holes in it, essentially?
Oh yeah, I guarantee after I tell you guys what all happens, we're going to have some assumptions of our own. But he was last seen with Patrick Brady, and after they were done at the hotel, they went to a small college that Brady was renting on Tolombe Street, and police believe this is where Smith was murdered, because that was the last time Smith was seen, and apparently a taxi driver had come forward and identified Brady, that he gave him a ride that night. And he said that when he was giving him a ride, he was scared and disheveled, and he was hiding something in his jacket.
Okay.
So shady.
Yeah.
So was there official ruling that he was murdered?
Yes, they believe he's murdered.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I read something, it was saying Smith and Holmes apparently had a falling out, and Smith was blackmailing Holmes. So they think maybe Holmes had got Brady to kill Smith. That's one of the things going around, was that there was something going on with that.
So that night he had some sort of proof, something. He was hiding something that was going to get him in trouble, and it ended up getting him.
And he sent Brady to silence him.
No.
On May 16th, 1935, police arrested Brady, and on May 20th, Holmes was arrested, because they were like, this is very sketchy, so we're going to bring you two in, because you have the most connection with Smith. Brady had started talking and blaming Holmes about the murder, and said that he met with Holmes at one of his boat sheds and was questioning Holmes about the murder of Smith, and Holmes was denying it. So that was Brady's story. Mm-hmm. 4 days after Brady was arrested, Holmes apparently took a bottle of brandy and a pistol and took one of his speedboats out onto the ocean. And apparently got really drunk and shot himself in the head. Like, this was before they arrested him. That's when they got Brady into questioning, and he was saying Holmes is the one that did it. So then when they were going to get Holmes, he took one of his speedboats out and shot himself in the head.
So that's still kind of strange to me, because he already was, like, into so many illegal activities. So, was it he was worried about the other stuff they were gonna uncover, or suddenly didn't have any pull, or it was like,
He really knew he messed up.
Right, but he went through all that. He was like, no, he's gonna blackmail me, so I'm gonna kill him, and then...
Oh yeah, the story's not over. You want to know something interesting?
Yes.
He didn't die.
Oh.
The bullet hit the bone in his forehead, knocking him unconscious and into the water.
Wait.
What does that look?
I know, that's one of the things. He shot himself in the head.
And it's like, no, just bounce off the
Knocked him
forehead
out.
bone.
He's thick skulled.
Apparently.
It knocked him into the water. When he regained consciousness, he climbed back into his boat and began driving crazy around the bays, disrupting ferry services, and then began getting chased by police.
Wait, so he just he fell unconscious into the water. Would he just float?
And
He
stayed
was
next
like-
to his boat?
He just laid there in the water for a minute.
I guess luckily that is the story, is that he knocked himself out into the water, and then when he regained consciousness, he climbed back in his boat and started driving.
How did he not even, like... I'm assuming he's bleeding.
How'd he not end up in a shark?
Yeah.
Yeah. I told you there's
so
a lot
weird.
of questions.
That's crazy.
And then did a police chase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting chased by police. He was finally caught by police, and then I read one way that he went to the hospital, did his stay in the hospital, and then got taken in by police and arrested. And then there was other ones saying that, like, treated his wounds and then just got brought in by police. When police began questioning him, he said that Patrick Brady showed up to his house late one night and that he had Smith's severed arm with him.
Oh.
And that Brady had told him that he killed Smith, dismembered the body, and placed the parts in a trunk and tossed it into the Gunamata Bay. And he kept the arm because of the distinctive tattoo.
Okay. That's honestly one thing that makes sense.
Yeah, it kind of does.
That's one step that makes sense.
But they were saying in the trunk, I've read this, and it's known as a Sydney send-off.
Oh,
This is when you kill somebody and toss them in the ocean.
interesting. A Sydney send-off.
So apparently that happened quite a bit
Yeah, I guess
back
so.
then. So that makes... Okay, now I've got some things I'm like, okay, maybe that's why... Maybe the rope was attached to that arm. Maybe they were like, no, let's attach a weight to it and make sure it's weighed down.
Mm-hmm.
And then that shark was like, oh, snack.
Yeah.
And continuing his story, said that Brady began to blackmail Holmes if he didn't pay him £500. I believe that's the currency in Australia, right?
I have no idea.
I'm not sure.
500 something.
Aussie dollars. We'll call them Aussie dollars.
There we go.
Oh, it is a pound. It's been confirmed that it's a pound.
Okay, good. I thought so. That's why I was like, I think I got it. But I was like, watch me be wrong.
We can still call it an Aussie dollar if we want.
I like that. But Holmes had gave him the money, and Brady left the arm in Holmes' living room.
Oh.
Just took the money, left the arm, and then went out the
It
door.
was like, you figure out. I did most of it. You figure out the rest.
Yeah.
I'm
And
confused why he left it. He wanted it because of the tattoo, and he was like, nah.
just left it there. And then Holmes said he panicked and drove to Maroubra. I'm messing up these words and pronunciations, but it's alright. And dropped the arm into the ocean. Because he panicked and just was like, okay, I got this, it's fine.
So now I'm confused about the rope again.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Riley said, he could have tied it to
attach
something.
Yeah.
That would make sense as to why it was down there. I don't know. I'm so confused. So who brought the arm to his house?
Brady did. Patrick Brady.
Okay. That's what I thought. So he was like, here you go. And then it was Holmes who was like, I panicked.
Yes. Holmes was left
Okay.
with the arm and panicked because, I mean, he's got a severed arm in his living room.
Yeah.
He's like, I gotta do
Of the man
something
he
with
wanted
it.
to
And Holmes is
have
the one
got.
that shot himself, and it ricocheted off his big skull.
Yes.
I feel like there's so much going on with this, and I'm like, I think I'm following it, and I'm paying attention, and then I'm like, wait a minute.
What is
I
happening?
lost something.
Why did that happen? Why did
So, this is where it gets even more interesting and crazy. Police couldn't find the body. Like, never was able to find the trunk with the body in it. So, without the body, the only thing police had against Patrick Brady was Holmes' story.
nobody, no crime?
That's
Pretty
pretty
much.
much.
We got an arm.
Yeah, an arm.
So, police had made an agreement with Holmes and that he was going to be a witness at the trial for Jimmy Smith's death that was happening on June 12th. But the morning of the inquest, Reginald Holmes was found dead in his car with 3 gunshot wounds to the chest.
Because you can't shoot him in the head.
Yeah, obviously.
It'll bounce right off that skull.
So he was found dead. There were some people saying that Holmes hired a hitman to kill him.
Wait, so who was found?
Reginald Holmes.
The one that shot himself in the head. And the one that
and
said
they think he
panicked.
hired a hitman?
To kill himself.
That's
one of the...
I was like...
Yeah, that's one of the stories is that... Well, I mean... It
He's like, I tried it myself. I couldn't do it.
It didn't work. So, there's also theories that Patrick Brady ordered the hit on him. Because with Holmes dead and no body, there was nothing there.
Yeah.
They had the arm, and that was it. So, what ended up happening was exactly that. So, Patrick Brady was not convicted and let go.
Well,
And nobody was charged with the death of Smith, and Brady apparently had claimed his innocence until the day he died on 1965 at the age of 76.
So he still claimed that that was his story.
Yeah, that he was innocent and had nothing to do with it. That it was on...
What was his
Holmes.
original story? I thought he had an original story.
His original story was that he suspected Holmes of killing Smith and confronted him. That was the story he was sticking to,
Okay.
apparently. But here's another doozy for you. Jimmy Smith's body was never found, that you guys know. It was later found out that he was an informant for the police.
No way. Plot holes explained.
That was the last thing I found, was that it was found out that he was an informant on Reginald Holmes' illegal activity for the police.
So that's what got him got. And then I'm sure they tried to save whatever else was going on in the investigation. And they were like, well, we lost another one.
Yeah. But this was just so, so many plot holes. Like, what is going on? Why didn't you go into this? Why didn't you go into that? And it was just...
You can't find it.
Yeah. At least I couldn't find it. Some people may have been able to find more information. This was legit it. From all the different websites that I was looking at were saying the same exact thing.
There were so many things that I just kept getting confused. I was like, who's who and who did what? And it was back and forth.
Yeah. That's one, because it's just you have Patrick Brady saying he had nothing to do with it from the get-go. And then you have Reginald Holmes, who obviously seemed guilty the entire time. I mean, he went to go shoot himself in the middle of the ocean. But then when he got questioned, it was, Patrick Brady was the crazy one. He came to my house for no reason and brought his severed arm and killed Smith for no reason. But then you find out he's a police informant, so...
Right. On him, so then that obviously points the finger at him.
Yeah, so it's like, did Holmes get Brady to kill Jimmy Smith, or what's going on with that?
Yeah.
That's just all these questions unanswered.
And who owned the aquarium?
Charles Hobson.
Okay. Maybe he was friends with him. And was like, yeah, just bring your arm in here. I just caught a shark.
We'll feed it to him.
I mean...
I did read somewhere, apparently they said it made sense, the timeline of what was going on and why the arm hadn't been digested yet. Because apparently tiger sharks have really slow digestive systems.
So they still believe the arm came from the ocean.
Yes.
Okay.
When
And
the
that
shark was in the ocean.
Charles Hobson just caught the shark that ate the arm.
See, I'm even more paranoid. And I'm like, no, they knew this guy just got this shark in this aquarium, and they were like, yeet. Yeah.
Just feed it to him.
Yeah. Just a little snack.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, this is a very short case, and just so many different plot holes in it.
Yeah, it's just wild. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
I feel like so many things are just left, like...
I know. All I know is that there was an arm and a shark, and the shark died. That's the only hard facts that I can see.
And a guy survived trying to shoot himself in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what got me, too, when I read that. It said he survived it.
What kind of... Was it a pistol? Is that what it said?
I couldn't find anything saying what exact type of gun it was, but it just said pistol.
I'm just, like, curious on, like... I'm seriously so curious on, like, how it didn't do... It just bounced off the
He's like,
skull.
whoop, and he's fine. Knocked him out, and then he, like, survived in the water. Unconscious.
And then police chase. Like, he was calm, cool, collected.
I have this feeling that since he was a drug lord, he most likely was not the top. So I bet that's probably why he took himself out into the ocean, because he knew the heat was on. And he was like, well, I would rather just end it myself than deal with what the higher up in the drug chain have coming. So that didn't work. And then I think they're probably who killed him. That's just my complete assumption, speculation. Because if they already knew that he was messing up enough for the police to have their informants, like, around him, and, like, they knew to ask questions to people around him, you know, his higher-ups are going to be like,
Oh, definitely.
you're expendable.
It
Sorry,
could go
too
that
much
way.
attention, too much heat on this line.
I'm also a little curious about the rat. Like, is that just a normal thing for rats to be in the ocean?
Oh. See, I thought the rat was weird because I was like, it's a sign.
Yeah.
You're a rat.
Yeah, that's
But
what it
that is
said, a
kinda
rat
weird.
and a bird. But also, if that aquarium was not the cleanliest,
It could have been from the aquarium.
It could have been, yeah.
because it also said a bird. But, I mean, you have seagulls and stuff.
Yeah, I think they'll jump out of the water and catch birds and stuff. I mean,
The
tiger
bird,
sharks are
bird
mean.
didn't seem as weird to me. The rat was weird, because I'm like, is that kind of just normal for a rat to be in the ocean? I know, like, I don't know.
What made the shark react the way it did? Why did it start convulsing and freaking out? Was it just because it was going to regurgitate all the stuff in a human arm?
That, I have no idea. It could have been that, or it could have been because it was in an enclosure,
And it just...
and it wasn't
just
used
sharks.
to it, and stressed out, and just, it could have been any of that.
It is interesting, though. Like, had they never caught that shark and brought it to the aquarium, it probably...
Oh,
we
nothing
wouldn't
would
even
have
have
happened.
this case.
Exactly.
Right. I'm still not sure that the shark... I think they threw that arm in. I think
the tank.
it had a string attached to it because they dangled it down in that tank for that shark.
I mean,
Could be, honestly.
Because if the shark was there...
throw the
And-
rat in to bring it to the surface.
Yeah, they were like, here, let's try and get its attention. And then they dangled that in, because I don't want to just throw that arm in the tank while the shark don't eat it.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I'll put it on a string, dangle it down in this aquarium. Because why wouldn't the shark have been sick before? Why wouldn't it have upchucked the arm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless goes into the, maybe it was stress.
Because it's a wild shark that they caught out of the ocean and put it in a...
No.
But
But I'm assuming they had it a little bit before. Does it say how long they had it before that celebration?
I think they had it for about a week.
Okay.
Or a couple days. I can't remember exactly. But they didn't have it for long. It was...
if it was a week, that is a little more like, I don't know why it wouldn't have done it sooner.
Yeah. Because it would have been like stressed out from the get-go.
Yeah.
Then if it's a couple days, how the heck did they get that shark out of the ocean? They were just, I'm going to go fishing. And they're like, ooh, perfect, a shark for the festival. What's not the celebration? The busy weekend.
I don't know. Maybe I just suck at research, but this was legit all I was seeing from everything.
I think it's just the unanswered
story.
questions.
Yeah. And especially that
Because-
time
And it was just some random construction worker or pool shark.
And I mean, the biggest suspect, you said he worked with the cops.
The
So
guy that died.
Yeah, the arm was the informant for the police.
Oh,
Yeah,
I missed that somewhere.
James Smith, the guy that was murdered,
okay.
he was an informant for the police. That's why I was saying that. Well, then there's no
Okay.
telling if Holmes found out about that or...
Right.
Patrick Brady, who he already was.
Now I got myself all in shambles again.
It's hard to keep up with. That's
and
I
was like, wait a minute.
I understood and then I misunderstood.
So I think that the police probably didn't really care at that point. They were like, we don't have enough for this guy to say he's the one that did it. And then Holmes was a shady character anyway. So it was like, then he was dead, and they're like, you know what, whatever. Let's just chalk it up to, it is what it is. Two shady characters got what they got in the end.
Yeah.
But they dangled that arm in that shark
For sure. That's your story, and you're sticking to it.
Until I am told differently, it explains the rope. It could explain the rat. I mean, because if you were gonna toss the arm in a shark tank, you ain't gonna dangle it in there with your hand.
No.
Because you could lose your arm. And then vomit up too. But you would tie a rope to it.
Yeah.
And wiggle it in front of it like, come get your snack.
Yeah. And see, because even if say we don't go with that, and we base it off the guy who panicked. That was Holmes that said he panicked, right?
Yes, and threw the arm into the ocean.
Do you really think if he just panicked and was like, that he would tie a rope to it to weigh it down? I think he would just be like,
chuck it in the ocean.
Yeah. So then that kind of still leaves the question, where did the rope come from?
Or why would you... I don't even know if I would try and carry it to the ocean.
Yeah.
I'd bury it in my backyard.
Yeah, unless he lived right on the ocean, but I have no idea where he lived.
And who...
Brady was shady, right? In the taxi? Had something hiding in his shirt.
That's what I was just about to say.
Yeah, the taxi driver said that when Patrick Brady got in his cab, he was disheveled, looks freaked out or scared, and was hiding something in his jacket.
So the arm. So that's what I think is the arm.
What if they're both lying? Holmes, and that was one of the theories, is that Holmes hired Brady, right?
Yes.
To also... What if that's the real one? So, say he did it, and now he's panicking, and he's like, this is a cool tattoo, yo. So he keeps this arm, and he's like, Holmes, I got the job done. And look at his cool tattoo. So he's panicking, he killed him, he's bringing the evidence to be like, here's his arm, I got him good. And then he's like, now you deal with it. So, what if everything's kind of...
I like that train of thought, because usually when you have someone kill someone, you want proof. And so Brady's killing him and ha ha ha, hacking him up, and he's like, look at this sweet ink.
Or it could just be a way to identify that it's his arm.
Well, that's why
there we go.
I figured you guys knew that, because that's why he got identified, because his brother came forward and was like, that's my brother, that's his tattoo.
Yeah, when you said that, I thought he did it more just to, hide that. He didn't want that attached with the body, so they couldn't identify him.
That's... But
I could see using that
to
give Holmes being like, look, I killed him. Here's the boxers, not the dogs.
Not the dogs.
Well, I can't believe I didn't think of this earlier. I think that Holmes told the real truth, but just twisted it a little.
Yeah.
I think he got Brady to kill Smith and paid him £500 to get the job done, and he just twisted it to, no, he blackmailed me for £500 and left the arm at my house, and I panicked and threw it in the ocean.
Which, if it was more thought out like that, I think the rope makes sense, because he probably did try to throw it in there, tie it down, and it just happens the shark got it. And then they caught the shark.
Yeah. And I think he probably started freaking out because Brady was brought into questioning, and he knew Brady wasn't gonna stay loyal to him and was gonna give his name up, which he did.
Do we know where the aquarium was, in regards to, distance between where some of this happened?
I do not. That may be something we want.
Because I thought maybe that's why... But I know sharks travel so, long distances. But I was like, maybe it's not as big of a, shock that it happened. They just happened to be out fishing and catch him. Maybe he was in the area because he was like, they toss some good stuff in the ocean. So maybe he tossed it out in the ocean somewhere similar to where they were fishing.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, that's also, they had already said there had been a string of shark attacks. So sharks loved that area.
I wonder how many bodies they've thrown out there.
Sydney Sendoff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so that's no wonder there's so many shark attacks. They got a taste for the human, and they're like,
Well, also, tiger sharks
'em
are
warm.
one of the man-eaters of the shark world. They're aggressive and man-eaters.
yeah.
Actually,
Which
I
is
don't
why
know
you
if
want to
they're...
tie a rope to the arm if you're dangling in there.
Right.
Or, like you said, Holmes actually wanted it done, and then he didn't freak out. He did weigh it down and toss it in the
Or
ocean.
maybe he wanted to make sure he really got it out there. So he tied the rope to it so he could be like, woo! Like spinning around.
It's like a bolo.
Yeah.
Keeping it all Australian.
Spinning around in the air so he really got some distance on it.
Now that's all I'm picturing in my head.
There has to be a reason for this rope.
Why was there a
wanna
rope?
know.
I need to know why there was a rope. Either they dangled it in to the shark tank, or he was whipping it around in the air to get it way out there in the ocean.
He didn't weigh it down.
Look it up.
It was to dangle it in.
Or
no,
whip it
whip it
out
out there.
Look it up. So why was there a rope tied to James
to
Smith's arm?
don't know.
Oh gosh. But like I said in the beginning, a lot of plot holes.
So many
A
plot holes.
lot of conversation starters.
Leaves you wondering.
Yep, but you know, always be speculating.
Yeah. There's also there's probably a lot more information because there's a couple books about this case, and they're
How you
thick.
gonna write a book on it?
They do. There's one, and it's called the Shark.
Is it written in 24-point font?
That I don't know. I don't know. But it's called The Shark Arm Case, and it's by Vincent Gadden Kelly, and it was published in 1963. But there's a lot of other books about it too, because when I was looking it up, it kept on pulling up Amazon, Shark Arm Case. And from what I was seeing, they were thick books too. So
It's just
I don't know.
one letter per page.
It's a flip book. You and go through it.
It's just the arm dangling over the
by,
tank.
by a string, by the rope. And then it ends on a question. What was with the rope?
Why was there a rope?
Why was there a rope?
But it almost makes me want to buy it so I can read it. It's like, was there stuff that they just don't put on the internet? What is happening here?
Yeah. Oh, goodness. He dangled it.
That's your story. You're sticking with it.
He dangled it.
I'm taking it to the grave. Add it in my vault of things I will never not believe.
Yeah. Also asking people, if you know anything about the Shark Arm Case, please let us know.
If you know why there was a rope, why there was a rat.
Or other things. Please let us know, because we want to know.
Yes.
Thanks for hanging out with us. Until next time,
Remember, you can find us on
Our own website.
Facebook,
Instagram
YouTube.
Twitter,
and even Pinterest.
Links are in the description.
As always,
stay weary.
stay leery.
And stay eerie.